What's up, it's your boy Shadow_Slayer22, and today I'm gonna hit you with the MCC 29 predictions. If you don't know, season 3 is coming up soon, and yeah, so essentially this is gonna be the first event back after the relatively short break, in fairness. And today we're gonna be doing a predictions upon where teams would roughly place. Now, this isn't to discredit any teams, this is just where I personally think they will roundabout land. So yeah, and without further ado, let's get into the predictions. First, we're going to start off with 10th, obviously, and I'm predicting Pink Parrots. Now, Pink Parrots is a fairly good team. I think this is slightly below. They're close to the average team you would expect. It's not a play for fun team like the Simmers or anything, but it is probably the weakest team, which is surprising considering the Antfrost is a very good player that pretty much could get top 10 fairly easily in this event. But I feel like this team is more likely to go into the realms of content with the Tubbo and Scar duo, so I don't really think it's got the competitive mindset. Now on to the 9th place team. We've got the Orangeocelots with Filza, Ragai Rocky, Smallish Beans and Impulsive. And this team is more of an all-round. Every team member should be fairly consistent amongst each other. I mean, all of them are good at wide variety of games. They'll perform relatively consistently. No games strike me as outright weakness. It's just that as a collective you can't see them performing overly well in an individual game, which is a bit of an issue with the multiplayer, because if this team does consistent at the final game, it means that they probably won't get into dodgeball, which is why I placed them 9th, just because we don't have the ability to get a huge bulk sum of coins in one game, or at least not as much as the other teams do. We don't. But in fairness, it means that they might be more likely to go in the middle of the pack. But I think just out of sheer safety, with the other teams having a chance to finish above them, I think it's best that I put them in 9th place. Very humble, and to be fair, it's a very good team. I don't think anyone's particularly weak, and yeah, so we're going to be moving on to the 8th place team. Now, the 8th place team is similar to like Orange in the terms that no one is overly good. I know a lot of people will go Cyan JoJo solos going to be elite, but at the beginning of this season or at the end of last season, I can't remember exactly, she's actually going to start playing it as competitive to a team with people she actually knows. So I'm assuming, for example, if she ever wanted to team with Purpled, then you know, you gotta well, not tank your score, but you gotta start playing as competitively. And with the members on this, I don't think this is particularly a dodgeball achieving team. However, it is very content driven one, and it could be very entertaining. But as a result, because of that, I've placed them 8th. I've put them above the other two teams because I think JoJo still will perform well. I think Rambu's still going to be trying his hardest. But overall, it's probably more likely to throw for content in comparison to a lot of the higher placing teams. So as a result, I am placing them 8th. Now if we look into the next team, you will see for the 7th place team that it is Blue. Now Blue is by far on base value the weakest team, simply because of his 3 nerfs and Fire Breath Man. But the whole reason why this is justified as balanced is because of, I'm assuming while making the teams, Scott put Fire Breath Man's average as what he got in like underdogs, so I think it's obscenely inaccurate. But by the same token, I think Shane will just perform consistently well, and I think he will get top 10, despite him having a slightly weaker team than the other ones. I think if this team had one more additional, like, A tier, B tier, actually in fairness, Ames is probably a B tier, but A tier players, such as anyone to fill in the bracket. You got George, who might be a bit better. You've got like any other like S tier matching, but that's like insanely busted, so I can understand that restriction of balancing. But I just don't feel like this team is immensely skewed to winning the event overall. However, because of Fire Breathman and, in my opinion, the best, or at least top 5 Minecraft event players, I think that they'll be pushed a bit higher up the place. But I think that to get to the other side might be one of the better games for them, especially if Shane does a more collaborative team-based approach for certain maps, but I don't know what maps specifically they're playing yet, so it depends. On to the 6th place team. We've got Green Geckos with Purpled, George Not Found, Snifferish, and Gumi. Now this team is, I put just ahead because of A, Purpled's got more MCC experience than Shane, and B, I think George is better than most players on Blue, but I still feel like this team is slightly nerfed in comparison to the ones. I don't know specifically. This team could actually get Dodgebolt, but it's more of dependent on how much Purple carries the team, which may sound harsh, but the fact is that he's been easily top 2 event players for like the past 4 events, like just behind Illumina, so he should really be the aim to carry that. On to the 5th place team, I believe now, Purple Pandas. Now this is just a very consistent team in comparison. I feel like Puns is an S tier, or he's definitely like on the border if you want to be hypercritical. But the other 3 are, I feel, a lot more experienced in certain games than the other teams, and I feel like they could do very well. This team will definitely shoot up from where I've placed it if there's a Meltdown finale. However, if there's something a bit more tame that's a bit more moderate, like Sands of Times, I don't know how likely this team is to do phenomenally well, so that's why I put them in 5th. However, overall, I think this is the most balanced team in terms of sheer skill, but I put them here just well and simply because of I can't rely on them performing well across every game, which I know I deducted points from Orange for that, but there's certain games where you wouldn't be surprised if they got like, if for example in survival games, although this isn't a weak survival games team, if it is on the roster and it is played, then I don't know how well this team will do in comparison to other teams in terms of organisation and the rest. Anyway, on to the 4th place team, which is the Yellow Yaks, which is consisting of Sneak Snag, Captain Sparkles, Captain Puffy, and Fruitberries. Now this is half the team who won the Christmas event with Sneak Snag and Captain Sparkles. But instead of puns, they've got Fruitberries, and instead of solidarity, they got Captain Puffy. Now I almost think that's a good exchange, relatively speaking. But the key difference between the 2 events, mainly, is that this event has a lot more better duos, whereas this one has one outlier in Fruitberries, and then the rest of them are consistent and about the same. I think Captain Puffy is the weakest player, which is nowhere near the worst player you can have as your weakest player, so it's a fair exchange. And yeah, so as a result I put them in 4th, just because I have faith in the other teams, and also it's MCC. Players, certain ones tend to perform better for like getting to a dodgeball finale than others ones do, so that's why I put them in 4th. On to the 3rd place team now, and we've got Red Rabbits with Sapnap, 5up, Jack Manifold and Erit. Now this team is fairly consistent like the other ones with an S tier. I feel like Sapnap for winning an MCC, or at least trying to get to dodgeball, might actually be better than Fruit in terms of just that general achieving. But by the same token, you can't rely on always a consistent Jack Manifold performance. He could do really well, he could get top 20, but then he could also finish like 38th or something. So it's very range where it's put, but they do have 2 strong leaders in Sapnap and 5up. But you've got to question a little bit what their strongest game is, because all things considered, I don't think Battlebox is this team's best game. It would be Sapnap's probably, but I don't know about the other ones. It would be very good comms, in fairness. I think Meltdown might be very good, but even then, I don't think it's the best Meltdown team, so I struggle to see where this team's specialty is. But when Sapnap's in an event, it's pretty likely that they're at least top half, and with how this team's structured, I think he'll get top 3 fairly easily. I don't know, I might be wrong on that. You never know, because a bunch of teams can just throw if they've got no chance of dodgeball, so this team could just tank massively downwards. But the benefit is that Jack has to play a bit more seriously. I don't know how much bits he can do, because whenever he's teamed with Tommy, for example, the whole of his performance is bits, but I think his best performance, in my opinion, was the one with Puns, CPK and Captain Sparkles, and that was a much more serious team, so I feel like this one's a lot better of a contender than if instead of 5up and Sapnap you put Tommy and like Fruit or something. On to the 2nd place team, meaning the team that will get into dodgeball. I've put Aqua Axolotls with H-Bomb, Critzy, Cubfan and False Symmetry. Now this team, although may not seem as powerful on base value, I think the H-Bomb and Critzy of like both literally on the fringes between S and A tier. I know a lot of people go H-Bomb S tier, or Critzy S tier as well, but it's very much up for debate for each of them. But the fact that they're both put together means it's just an obscenely strong team. And with H-Bomb's organisation, and simply the fact that this team seems far less likely to throw for content, then I'd back this team to actually place a lot higher than many people will expect. But you can't hold your hopes out on this one always dominating the event, because I think they are better teams, or at least one better team, which is who I'll put in first. But this team is very good. We know that False can perform a lot better than expected, Cubfan can. You wouldn't be surprised if H-Bomb and Critzy got top 10 and Cubfan and False got top 20, so that's why I put them in 2nd. Anyway, on to the 1st place team, and we've got Llamas. Now, Llamas is a team consisting of Pizza Hut, CPK, Cora Covers, and Solidarity. Now, this is a very, very good team. Pizza Hut's arguably the best player in the event. I mean, it's probably the best in the event's history. CPK is, like, easily a top 10 performer if he's playing correctly. He'll probably get top 10 if this team do place first. However, if they don't, then it wouldn't surprise me if the whole team dropped in relative placements. But Solidarity, decent enough player, could rely on to get top 20. Same with Karakovas, you could rely on them to both get top 20. It's the same logic as for Aqua, where there's 2 players that could definitely get top 10 if they popped off, and same with 2 players that could get top 20 if they really popped off. So it ranges a bit, but overall that's why I'd place Lime as the best team in the event, or at least probably gonna place first. But now, who do I back to win Dodgeball between the two? Will it be Lime Llamas? Will it be Aqua Axolotls? Well, I back Lime. I know that Aqua's a very, very good Dodgeball team, especially in comparison. However, Lime is, by itself, CPK is a very good player. I think he can be on par with H-Bomb in terms of Dodgeball skills, so yeah, but it is a coin toss anyway, and at the very least, I'm not predicting Jack Manifold to win it, even though he's got Sapnap on his team, which, watch that happen now. But anyway, who do I think is going to be the most valuable player? The player that will perform the greatest on the day, be rooted as the best player of the whole of Season 3, because of there's going to be, like, a while till the next event, so you could definitely claim that. I've backed, personally, Sapnap. Now, this may seem a bit bizarre. I've backed P to get first, I've backed H-Bomb and Krasky to do very well, but the key reason why I back Sapnap is just consistency, and in proportion to his team, I don't feel like there's another player that's going to get top 10. I guess the closest is probably 5 up. So as a result, if they are to do well, if they are to place third, he will need a bulk sum of coins. So that's why I back him to be the most valuable player. However, who I've got for a notable performer, the person who gets the flowers for performing better than expected, is Fire Breath Man. And I know that sounds bizarre as well. The player that is easily everyone's predicting to do fairly well despite his team being poor, to do well. Well, essentially my logic for this one is that relatively everyone definitely expects him to underperform in relative to underdogs, but you wouldn't be surprised if he did do very well. So it's a 50-50, but as a result, because of the range in where he can place, I feel like it's a good basis to back him to be the notable player, so to say. And yeah, so that's my MCC 29 predictions, the first MCC of Season 3. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment if you enjoyed the video. And yeah, and also, for future reference to any newcomers, this video was partly voted on my community tab. I know, very bizarre usage of it, but I put a poll which got like very small responses between what people would want, and between MCC predictions, Block Wars, and this video should be releasing on the days of Block Wars beginning. So if you want some input on what my future videos may be, then make sure you subscribe so you can be notified on the community tab, so I could post some content that you may be preferring of, or comment below any possible ideas that you have. And with that being said, I've been Shadow_Slayer22. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh yeah, I'll also let this game finish, and I'll see you later. Also, click any of these videos if you enjoy. I think they're pretty good. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, anyway, au revoir.